The sleek, chrome-trimmed lifestyles of the rich and famous stretched out before Princess Catherine in all their artisanal, organic splendor. She found herself utterly enveloped in the tastefully austere yet stunningly appointed interior design of Gwyneth Paltrow's California residential compound and holistic wellness empire headquarters. Everywhere she turned, the crisp fragrances of ethically sourced rare botanicals suffused the air amidst the seamless integration of avant-garde flourishes juxtaposing natural fibers and amorphously sculpted furniture pieces. It created an overwhelming sense of transcendent serenity and mindfulness, the likes of which made Kate feel like checking her titles, privilege, and emotional baggage at the front gate. For this sprawling sanctum of conscious living represented the very pinnacle of New Age philosophical aspirations made luxuriously, extravagantly manifest. Every subtle, unembellished detail exuded Gwyneth's radically evolved ethos of spiritual attunement, elite self-actualization, and ostentatious simplicity. It was decadence made monk-like in its restrained opulence. "Breathe it all in, my dear," came the unmistakable dulcet lilt of the ageless, radiant wellness guru herself as she seemed to materialize from the ether. Gwyneth wore a billowing alabaster chiffon caftan that draped her lithe, endlessly yoga-toned form like the most ethereal of classical robes. Her face seemed to glow with inner light and tranquil actualization as her bare feet tread silently across the burnished wood grain. This is a space rigorously designed to channel the divine vibrations of pure consciousness into our everyday terra firma experience, she intoned in that melodic, transcendent cadence tinged with just the barest tinge of valley girl timbre. Every material in our humble ashram has been fastidiously vetted and responsibly cultivated to elevate your karmic presence and aura towards its highest regenerative frequencies. Kate found herself instinctively breathing deeper and slower as if by Gwyneth's very presence alone. She suddenly felt foolish for thinking to attend this intimate tête-à-tête in anything more formal than the Barefoot Dreams cardigan and ballet flats she'd opted for. "It's all so breathtakingly profound," the princess exhaled in sincere wonderment. "You've created an oasis of rarefied intentionality here in the middle of all this worldly chaos and noise. I can literally feel the knots of tension and toxicity being massaged from my wellspring just standing here." A serene smile creased Gwyneth's features in radiant acknowledgement of the compliment. "Why thank you, Catherine, may I call you Catherine?" she trilled before pressing on without awaiting confirmation. Far too few amongst the privileged elite are capable of actualizing this harmony between conspicuous success and metaphysical purity. They remain imprisoned by wretched thought loops of materialistic ori sacra fames and knee-jerk resistance to consciousness expansion. She reached out to clasp Kate's hands in a grounding gesture, eyes shimmering with empathy. "Your life's journey in navigating the stuffy falsehoods of Britain's archaic protocols while preserving your inner light has been, well, it's been brightly inspirational to me. I so desperately wanted to share with you my findings on the esoteric power of vaginal gemstones and their potential to amplify your divine feminine essence." Kate stifled an awkward titter at the casual mention of holistic yoni egg insertion. Still, leave it to Gwyneth to make the most avant-garde, body-positive concepts seem utterly banal when spoken with conviction. "That's incredibly kind and generous of you, Gwyn. I hope you don't mind if I use your nickname," she replied with an appreciative squeeze. "Though of course, my husband William's adherence to Anglican orthodoxy can make it rather tricky incorporating more progressive practices into the household." Gwyneth's giggle at this was a delightfully airy, wind-chime cadence of mirth. "Well then perhaps the most suitable route is sharing my insights on destigmatizing miscarriage and transforming reproductive traumas into sacral reclamations," she pondered aloud before launching into a detailed dissertation on overhauling core feminine tragedies into communal catharsis triumphs. Inwardly, Kate marveled at this woman's ability to seamlessly normalize even the most profoundly personal and devastating of matters into her uber-accessible cosmology. For all the mocking jibes about out-of-touch privilege Gwyneth endured, her wisdom was powerfully compelling in its transparency and good faith healing. She was just preparing to offer her own anecdotal perspective on overcoming the haunting pain of her recent heartbreaks when a sudden, unceremonious clatter of commotion shattered their inviolable serenity. "Abso-bloody-lutely not, you intractable cow," came the unmistakable shrill, hectoring bleat of the Duchess of Sussex barreling into their inner sanctum. Meghan Markle stormed towards them with all the overstated, spotlight-grabbing melodrama of a grizzled community theater pariah shoehorned into the showpiece production. You abhorrent elitist harpies may have bamboozled the public into crediting this obscene flimflam pyramid of sham mysticism and grift, but I'll not have you gaslight me into bowing before your reductive separatist dogmas, Paltrow. Both Gwyneth and Kate instinctively recoiled at the shrill hostility detonating like an artillery barrage all around them. The latter knew better than to underestimate how rapidly Meghan could transform any environment into a maelstrom of persecution-complex carnage. "Oh, hello, Meghan," Gwyneth managed to choke out in an astonished gasp before steadying herself with Kate's supportive grip. "I had no idea you'd joined us today. What seems to be the, catalyst for these disruptive energies?" The shamed, disgraced Duchess let out an unhinged snort of mirthless derision as she barreled even closer with her entourage of hangers-on sycophants in tow. "Cut the bloody rancid rubbish, Paltrow, and quit playing airs with your trite Pasadena housewife impressions of Zen mastery," she spat with lethal contempt. "The entire world knows your massively hypocritical cult bilked countless women into self-denial and eating disorder pathologies with your misogynistic, exclusionary wellness doggerel." Here Meghan swung around to lash Kate as well with her unrepentant madness. "And you, don't even get me started on your criminal enabling of this colonial racist's gentrified starvation cabals. Where were your vaunted feminist values and solidarity with downtrodden women's plight when this monster was peddling her neurotic faux poverty garbage and lapping up peasants' suffering like compliments?" Gwyneth, for her part, seemed utterly blindsided by the scorched earth fusillade raining down upon them and unsure how to even begin diffusing the irrational ire. Kate, however, felt her personal circuits re-engaged to that old familiar steely resolve. "That's quite enough of that, Meghan," she called out sternly in that firm Duchess cadence. "You will not besmirch my friend Gwyneth's legitimately pioneering work with vulgar falsehoods nor tarnish the solidarity we've cultivated in pursuit of common uplifting." The harsh rebuke actually caused Meghan to physically recoil, as if a spirit had been briefly exorcised from her body. For just an instant, awareness returned to her eyes and a moment of realization seemed to creep in. Then, like a demonic reset switch being flipped, it was gone. Back was the snapping, snarling harridan consumed by utter zero-sum grievances and the singular drive to obliterate any and all who dared cross her narrative trajectory. Ah yes. The Tory pearl-clutching classist puts on her haughty airs of privileged oppressor cloaked in false moralism, she sneered as strands of spittle frothed over her lips. "It's truly perverse